Let's hear from the co-founder of the Transnational Academic Group, Dr. Rakesh Wahi, on what influenced his decision to invest in Africa's education sector.
I guess, we got to go a bit even further back. As a family and as a group, we invested today in 22 countries. And a consistent factor across each of these countries has been the need for capacity building. And this gets pronounced more and more when you're in emerging markets. So whether it's in Asia or it's in Africa, you find that you need good quality education. The opportunities are here. They're talking about the fourth industrial revolution. Jobs are going to get created. They're going to be skilled workforce required. And therefore you need quality educational institutions. So the model that we have built over the years, and something that I've been working on for now almost 15 years, is taking global brands to emerging markets. And in the context of education, this gets a bit more pronounced because today, to go to the UK or to go to the US for an education or a quality education, families have to spend anything from $40,000 to $50,000 a year. Now, that is not the purview of every family. So there are a lot of students who are capable, who are deserving in Africa, but don't get that opportunity. And so the model we are building is bringing global brands into the shores of Africa. And we want universities to share that vision. Now, historically, you would always find that universities did not want to set up offshore institutions. But the world is changing. And what we found 20 years ago is a bit different today. Universities are gradually moving towards setting up offshore institutions, some earlier than others. And that typically comes from leadership. People who can visualize the future, see what opportunities and changes are going to take place within the education sector, and the need for them to expand. And one such partner that we found who resonated well with our vision was Lancaster University, particularly the Vice Chancellor. And I say that leadership makes all the difference. It's not the institutions only. I think there are some great leaders sitting in these institutions who understand the importance of Africa. And I think we had a meeting of minds in 2012. This was amongst the quickest partnerships that I've ever closed. And it was largely because the Vice Chancellor was very, very proactive, very keen to be here, and shared all the values that we're looking at.
You could have been anywhere in Africa with this Lancaster University. Why Ghana?
I think, when we looked at the education sector in Africa, we had to break it up into various components. And the first that you look at is from a language point of view. So we went largely to all the Anglophone countries to do an assessment. The second aspect of it was legislation. And legislation in education is a very important aspect because a lot of countries in Africa still have colonial regulations. So, they want 100 acres of land, they want all kinds of other things that are not relevant to the education sector anymore. Education is no longer about land building. And then when you look at the bigger context of Africa, Nigeria is the biggest market. Nigeria has some restrictions in terms of regulations. There's also been a bit of uncertainty in Nigeria over the last few years. So we felt that setting up in Ghana would be a great bridgehead into the rest of Africa. And Ghana has a wonderful business environment. We were welcomed here by the government. The National Accreditation Board is a great body, very professional. They've got all their systems in order. And the complete process went through very fluently. So we just found that this was a great place to be, and I think we were proven right.
5 years on now, we're seeing the second batch of graduates coming out of Lancaster University. When you look at the faces of these young graduates, what's your advice for them for the challenges ahead?
I guess, they're entering into a phase, particularly in the journey in Africa, which is very different than their parents. The state of the economic development in Africa, let's say 20 years ago, was very different. These graduates are entering at a time when everybody is coming into the continent. And the investments that are flowing here are coming because people see that there is economic activity that needs to be developed here. The job creation that is going to take place over here. So I think that the journey is going to be phenomenal for these youngsters. the most important aspect to my mind, I think, is the opportunity for them to become entrepreneurs, because there's so much that's going to happen here. If you look at the population growth rates, the youthful population that's going to be here in 20 years, you're going to have amongst the youngest population sitting here in Africa. So you've got to service that consumer base, and you can do anything here and you'll do well. So I think getting a quality education, getting to understand processes, building networks, that's key to what they all need to actually build a future for themselves.
So what would you then say is the Lancaster University edge?
Well, I guess it's not just Lancaster University. I think a lot of education institutions that are in Africa today are providing great value. But we are the first British university on African soil. So we are providing a top-ranked degree. Lancaster, as everybody knows, is ranked 6th now in the UK. Now, to get such a quality education at 1/4 the price, sitting on the shores of Africa, I think it's a great value proposition.
Is there anything you would like to say else for the graduating students then?
I guess they need to be fearless, go out and conquer the world, be fearless in everything you do. There's so much that is happening there. Don't think of leaving the continent. Stay here, build businesses here, and build a quality life for the future of Africa.
That was Rakesh Wahi, the co-founder of the Transnational Academic Group.